I sat in my car outside Riverside Coffee House, gripping the steering wheel like it might save me from whatever disaster waited inside. My phone buzzed with another text from Derek. "Get in there, Bennett. She's waiting." I typed back furiously. "This is ridiculous. I know you and Connor are messing with me. We're not. Trust us. Just go. Trust them." Right. These were the same guys who once hired an actor to pretend to be a health inspector at my house, convinced me I had a raccoon infestation that didn't exist, and sent me on a business meeting that turned out to be a kid's birthday party at a trampoline park. Derek Cho and Connor Murphy thought they were comedians. I thought they were exhausting. But they were also my closest friends. We'd built our tech companies from nothing, supported each other through failures and successes, and somehow maintained our friendship even as our bank accounts grew into numbers that didn't feel real. If they said someone was waiting for me, someone probably was. Whether that someone was in on the joke remained to be seen. I checked my reflection in the rearview mirror. At 38, I still looked decent. Dark hair with just enough gray at the temples to seem distinguished rather than old. Blue eyes that my mom always said were my best feature. I'd worn a casual button-down shirt and dark jeans, nothing too formal. If this was a prank, at least I'd look normal when I walked away from it. The coffee shop sat right on the lake, with big windows overlooking the water. Boats drifted by in the late afternoon sun. It was the kind of place that tried too hard to be rustic and charming, with reclaimed wood tables and Edison bulbs hanging from the ceiling. I'd never been here before. Derek said that was the point. Neutral territory, he'd explained when he'd cornered me at the gym that morning. No pressure. Just coffee. Her name is Elise. She's kind, smart, and she has no idea who you are. That last part had caught my attention. Most people in our city knew who I was, at least by reputation. Tyler Bennett, founder of Cloud Sync Solutions, the platform that helped businesses manage their data infrastructure. I'd been on magazine covers, given TED Talks, and donated enough to local charities that my name was on a hospital wing. It was exhausting, honestly. Everyone wanted something. Everyone had an angle. She doesn't know who I am. I'd asked Derek. Nope. She's not from here originally. Moved to town a couple years ago. Runs her own graphic design studio. Connor's wife used her for some branding work and thought you two might hit it off. Connor's wife, Julie, was sensible and kind. If she thought this woman was worth meeting, maybe there was something to it. Or maybe Julie was in on the prank too. With Derek and Connor, you never knew. I finally forced myself out of the car. The November air was cool but not cold, perfect for the maroon sweater I'd layered under my coat. I walked across the parking lot, rehearsing exit strategies in my head. If this was a joke, I'd laugh it off, buy myself an overpriced latte, and leave. If it wasn't, well, I'd figure that out when I got there. The bell above the door chimed as I walked in. The coffee shop was moderately busy, with students on laptops and a few couples scattered at tables. I scanned the room, looking for someone who seemed to be waiting. A woman in the corner looked up from her phone, met my eyes, then looked away. Not her. A group of teenage girls giggled near the counter. Definitely not them. Then I saw her. She sat at a table by the window, facing the lake. Her profile was striking even from across the room. Beautiful brown skin, dark hair pulled back in a low bun, and an air of calm composure that was rare in anyone, let alone someone on a blind date. She wore a burgundy dress that looked both casual and elegant, with a cream cardigan draped over her shoulders. Her hands were folded on the table in front of her, and she was staring out at the water like she was trying to decide whether to stay or go. I recognized that look. I'd worn it myself about 5 minutes ago. I walked over, my heart doing something stupid in my chest. This wasn't a prank. Unless Derek and Connor had hired the most sophisticated actress in history, this woman was real, and she was here for the same reason I was. Elise?" I said when I reached her table. She turned, and I got my first full look at her face. Warm brown eyes, high cheekbones, and a cautious smile that suggested she was as skeptical about this as I was. She was probably in her early 30s, though it was hard to tell. She had one of those faces that could be anywhere from 28 to 40. "Tyler?" she asked, standing up. She was shorter than I expected, maybe 5'5", but she carried herself with a quiet confidence. "That's me." I extended my hand, and she shook it. Her grip was firm, professional. I have to be honest. I was half convinced my friends were playing a prank on me. Her smile widened just a little. "Julie told me that might be a concern. She also told me that if you didn't show up, I should order the most expensive thing on the menu and send her the bill." I laughed, surprised. "That sounds like something Julie would say." "She's very loyal to you," Elise said, sitting back down. "She spent 20 minutes telling me what a good guy you are. I wasn't sure if I should be flattered or concerned that she felt the need to sell you so hard." "Probably a little of both," I admitted, taking the seat across from her. "Derek and Connor have a history of thinking they're funnier than they are. But Julie's the normal one in that group, so if she vouched for this, maybe there's hope." "Maybe," Elise said. She folded her hands again, and I noticed she wore no rings. No jewelry at all, actually, except for small gold earrings. "So. I guess we're doing this." "I guess we are." A waitress appeared, saving us from the awkward silence that threatened to descend. We both ordered coffee, plain and simple, and the waitress disappeared. I looked at Elise, trying to think of something to say that didn't sound like a job interview question. "How long have you known Julie?" I asked finally. "About a year," Elise said. "She hired me to redesign the branding for her boutique. We worked together for a few months, and we just clicked. She's one of those people who makes you feel like you've been friends forever, even when you just met." "That's Julie," I agreed. "She's good at that. Connor's the luckiest guy alive, and he knows it." Elise smiled, and this time it reached her eyes. "She talks about him the same way. It's sweet. A little nauseating sometimes, but mostly sweet." I grinned. "They're the couple the rest of us measure ourselves against and inevitably fall short." "You're not married?" Elise asked, then immediately looked like she regretted it. "Sorry. That was too personal." "No, it's fine," I said. "And no, I'm not. Never have been. I came close once in my 20s, but we wanted different things. She wanted kids and a house in the suburbs. I wanted to work 100 hours a week building a company. We both got what we wanted, just not with each other. Do you regret it?" The question was direct, and I appreciated that. "Sometimes," I admitted. "I look at Connor and Julie and wonder what it would be like to have that. But mostly, no. I wasn't ready then. I'm not sure I'm ready now." "Then why are you here?" Elise asked. There was no judgment in her voice, just curiosity. "Because Derek and Connor have been on my case for 2 years about how I work too much and never meet anyone. And because Julie doesn't usually steer people wrong. And because..." I paused, meeting her eyes. "Because I saw you sitting here, and I was curious." She held my gaze for a moment, then looked down at her hands. "That's honest. I try to be. What about you? Why are you here?" "Because Julie said you were kind and successful and had your life together, and those are 3 things I value. And because..." She hesitated, choosing her words carefully. "Because I haven't done this in a long time. Dating. Meeting new people. It's been a while since I put myself out there." "Bad breakup?" I asked gently. "Something like that." The waitress returned with our coffee, and we both took grateful sips. The conversation shifted to safer topics. Work. The city. The ridiculous price of real estate. Elise told me about her design studio, how she'd built it from the ground up with just a laptop and a dream. I told her about Cloud Sync, though I kept it vague. I didn't want to scare her off with talk of venture capital and board meetings. She was easy to talk to. That was the thing that surprised me most. I'd been on dates before where every sentence felt like pulling teeth, where I watched the clock and calculated how soon I could politely leave. This wasn't like that. Time moved differently with Elise. One cup of coffee turned into two, then into splitting a piece of cake, then into realizing the sun was setting and we'd been sitting there for nearly 3 hours. I should go, Elise said finally, glancing at her phone. I have someone waiting for me at home. My heart sank. Of course she did. Beautiful, smart, put-together women didn't stay single. She must have seen something in my face because she added quickly, my daughter. Olivia. She's 6. My neighbor's watching her, but I don't like to be gone too long. You have a daughter, I repeated, processing this. I do. Is that a problem? No, I said honestly. I just didn't know. Julie didn't tell you. She left out a few details. Elise studied me, and I could see her weighing whether to stay or go, whether I was worth the complication. Most guys run when they hear I have a kid. I'm not most guys. So I've heard. She stood up, reaching for her purse. Thank you for the coffee. And the cake. This was nice. It was, I agreed, standing as well. Can I see you again? She hesitated. It was just a fraction of a second, but I saw it. The doubt. The worry. The wall going up. Maybe, she said finally. Let me think about it. Fair enough. I pulled out my phone. Can I at least get your number? In case you decide thinking about it is overrated? That earned me a small laugh. She took my phone and typed in her number, then handed it back. I'll let you know. I'll be waiting. She gave me one last look, something I couldn't quite read in her eyes, then walked out of the coffee shop. I watched her go, watched her get into a sensible blue Honda sedan and drive away. Then I pulled out my phone and texted Derek. You were right. She's amazing. His response came immediately. Told you. So when's the wedding? Slow down. She said she'd think about seeing me again. She'll call. Trust me. Julie said she needs someone steady. Someone who won't let her down. That's you, man. I hoped he was right. Because for the first time in years, I'd met someone who made me want to be that person. Underscore 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 underscore. Would you really walk away from someone who could change your whole life, just because you're scared? Elise almost did. What would you have done in her place? Drop a comment below and let me know. And if you're loving this story so far, don't forget to subscribe for more romantic audio stories that hit different. Underscore 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 underscore. 3 days passed before Elise texted me. 3 days in which I checked my phone approximately 8,000 times, drove Derek and Connor crazy with my overthinking, and generally behaved like a teenager with his first crush. Hi. It's Elise. Still interested in that second date? I replied within 30 seconds. Absolutely. When and where? Same coffee shop. Saturday afternoon. I can only do a couple hours. Perfect. See you at 2. Saturday couldn't come fast enough. I showed up 15 minutes early, ordered 2 coffees, and sat at the same table by the window. When Elise walked in at exactly 2 o'clock, wearing jeans and a forest green sweater, I felt that same jolt in my chest I'd felt the first time I saw her. You remembered my order, she said, picking up the coffee I'd gotten for her. You seemed like a 2 creams, 1 sugar person. Good memory. She sat down, and some of the tension from our first meeting was gone. She looked more relaxed, less like she was ready to bolt at any second. We fell into conversation easily. She told me more about her design work, how she specialized in branding for small businesses and nonprofits. I told her about a project CloudSync was working on, simplifying data security for schools. She asked smart questions, and I realized she actually understood what I was talking about, which was rare. My ex used to glaze over whenever I talked about work, I admitted. She'd nod and smile, but I could tell she didn't care. That must have been lonely, Elise said. It was. What about you? What does your ex do? Her expression shifted, just slightly. He's not in the picture. He never really was. I waited, giving her space to elaborate if she wanted to. She stared at her coffee for a moment, then looked up. Olivia's father left before she was born. Actually, left isn't the right word. He was pushed out. Or I was pushed out. It's complicated. You don't have to tell me if you don't want to. I know. But if we're going to keep seeing each other, you should probably know the basics. She took a breath. His family didn't approve of me. When I got pregnant, they made it clear I wasn't welcome in their world. He chose them. I chose Olivia. End of story. That's not the end, I said quietly. That's just the end of him. The story kept going. You built a business. You're raising a daughter. You're here. She smiled, but it was sad around the edges. I'm here. For what it's worth, he's an idiot. He is. But he's also gone, and I prefer it that way. She changed the subject, asking about my family, and I let her. We talked for another hour before she checked her watch. I need to pick up Olivia from a birthday party, she said. But this was good. Really good. Same time next week? I asked. Actually. She hesitated. Olivia asked if she could meet you. I told her I was seeing someone new, and she's curious. Would you want to come to the park with us tomorrow? Nothing fancy. Just the playground. My heart did that stupid thing again. I'd love that. Underscore 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 underscore. The next day, I met them at Riverside Park. Olivia was a tiny whirlwind of energy, with her mother's beautiful brown skin and dark curly hair pulled into 2 puffballs on either side of her head. She wore bright pink overalls and light-up sneakers that flashed with every step. Are you Mr. Tyler? She asked, looking up at me with enormous brown eyes. I am. You must be Olivia. Mommy says you're her friend. Are you her boyfriend? Olivia, Elise said, her cheeks darkening. We talked about this. What? You said he was nice. I crouched down to Olivia's eye level. Your mom and I are getting to know each other. Is that okay with you? She considered this seriously. Do you like swings? I love swings. Then it's okay. She grabbed my hand without hesitation and dragged me toward the playground. Elise followed, laughing. I spent the next 2 hours being ordered around by a 6-year-old. Push her on the swings. Higher. No, higher. Watch her go down the slide. Did I see that? Watch again. Help her across the monkey bars. She made it 3 rungs before dropping, laughing the whole way down. Elise sat on a bench nearby, watching us with an expression I couldn't quite read. When Olivia ran off to play with another kid, I joined her. You're good with her, Elise said. She's easy to be good with. She's great. She likes you. She doesn't like everyone. The feeling's mutual. We watched Olivia play, her laughter carrying across the park. I haven't brought anyone around her before, Elise said quietly. Not since her father. I didn't want her getting attached to someone who might leave. I'm not planning on going anywhere. People say that. I'm not people. She looked at me then, really looked at me. No. I'm starting to see that you're not. Underscore 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 underscore. Over the next few weeks, we fell into a pattern. Coffee dates during the week when Olivia was in school. Park visits on weekends. One evening, Elise invited me to her apartment for dinner. It was small but carefully decorated, with plants on every surface and Olivia's artwork covering the refrigerator. Olivia insisted on helping make dinner, which meant mac and cheese with hot dogs cut up in it. It's my specialty, she announced proudly. It's the only thing she knows how to make, Elise whispered. I heard that, Mommy. After dinner, Olivia dragged me to the living room to show me her favorite cartoon. Elise cleaned up in the kitchen, and I could hear her humming softly to herself. It was such a simple moment, so ordinary, but it felt like something I'd been missing without knowing it. Later, after Olivia went to bed, Elise and I sat on her small balcony overlooking the parking lot. It wasn't romantic in the traditional sense, but it felt right. Thank you for being patient with me, she said. I know I'm complicated. The single mom thing, the walls I have up, all of it. You're not complicated. You're careful. There's a difference. Most guys don't see it that way. Then most guys don't deserve you. She leaned her head on my shoulder, and we sat there in comfortable silence. I thought about how 3 weeks ago, I'd been sitting in my car, convinced this was all a joke. Now I couldn't imagine not knowing her. Tyler, she said after a while. Yeah. I'm glad Derek and Connor set this up. Me too. She looked up at me, and I kissed her. It was soft and tentative, a question more than a statement. She kissed me back, and when we pulled apart, she was smiling. Good night, Tyler. Good night, Elise. I drove home with a grin on my face that wouldn't quit. I texted Connor. I think I'm falling for her. His response was immediate. Finally. Took you long enough. Maybe it had. But it felt like exactly the right time. Underscore 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 underscore. A month into dating Elise, I invited her to a charity gala my company was hosting. CloudSync had partnered with a local literacy nonprofit, and the event was meant to raise funds for after-school reading programs. It was the kind of thing I usually dreaded, full of small talk and obligations, but with Elise there, I thought it might actually be enjoyable. I don't know, she said when I asked her. We were sitting in her apartment, Olivia asleep in the next room. That sounds fancy. I'm not really a fancy person. Neither am I, honestly. But it's for a good cause, and I'd really like you there. She bit her lip, thinking. What would I even wear? Whatever you want. You could show up in jeans and still be the most beautiful person there. She rolled her eyes, but she was smiling. You're shameless. Is that a yes? It's a maybe. Let me check with my neighbor about watching Olivia. The maybe turned into a yes 2 days later. Julie took Elise shopping for a dress, despite Elise's protests. You're not spending your own money, Julie had insisted. Connor and I will cover it. Consider it our investment in true love. The night of the gala, I picked Elise up at 7. When she opened the door, I forgot how to breathe. She wore a deep blue gown that hugged her figure perfectly, with her hair styled in soft waves around her shoulders. She'd done her makeup, something she rarely bothered with, and the effect was stunning. You look incredible, I managed to say. You don't look so bad yourself, she replied, smoothing down the lapels of my dark gray suit. The gala was held at the Grand Hotel downtown, in a ballroom with crystal chandeliers and floor-to-ceiling windows. Music played from a live band, and waiters circulated with appetizers and champagne. I introduced Elise to colleagues, donors, and board members. She was polite and charming, but I noticed her eyes kept scanning the room. "Everything okay?" I asked during a quiet moment. "Fine," she said, but her smile didn't reach her eyes. "It's just a lot of people. We can leave early if you want." "No, it's fine. Really." But as the night went on, her anxiety seemed to increase rather than decrease. She barely touched her dinner, and when I asked her to dance, she hesitated before accepting. We swayed to a slow song, and I could feel the tension in her shoulders. "Elise, talk to me. What's wrong?" "Nothing. I'm just not used to this kind of environment." "Is it the people? The money? Tell me what's bothering you." She pulled back slightly, looking up at me. "Can we talk about this later?" "Not here." "Of course." We made it through the rest of the evening, but the easy comfort we usually shared was gone. When I drove her home, she was quiet, staring out the window at the passing streetlights. "Do you want to come up?" she asked when we reached her building. "If you want me to." "I do." Her neighbor had already left, having put Olivia to bed hours ago. Elise kicked off her heels with a sigh of relief and gestured for me to sit on the couch. She disappeared into her bedroom and came back a few minutes later in sweatpants and an oversized t-shirt, her makeup scrubbed off. "That's better," she said, sitting beside me. "I'm sorry I was weird tonight." "You weren't weird. You were uncomfortable. There's a difference." She pulled her knees up to her chest, making herself small. "I didn't grow up with money, Tyler. My mom was a teacher. My dad worked construction. We had enough, but just barely. Places like that hotel, events like that gala, they're not my world. Everyone there probably makes in a month what I make in a year. I don't care about any of that." "I know you don't. But it's still there. The difference between us. There's no difference that matters." She shook her head. "There is. And it's not just the money. It's everything that comes with it. The expectations. The lifestyle. I have a daughter, Tyler. I can't be jetting off to conferences or staying late at fancy dinners. I have school pickups and homework and bedtime stories. That's my life. I know that. I've never asked you to change any of that. You haven't. But what happens when you do? What happens when you realize I can't be the partner you need for your world?" I turned to face her fully, taking her hands in mine. "Elise, listen to me. I'm not asking you to be anyone but yourself. I don't need you at every gala or conference. I need you here, being you. That's enough. That's more than enough." Her eyes filled with tears. "I have a lot of baggage, Tyler. My past isn't simple. I'm not simple. Nobody is. But whatever you're carrying, you don't have to carry it alone anymore." She wiped at her eyes. "I left my hometown to get away from Olivia's father and his family. They had money. A lot of it. When I got pregnant, they offered me a check to leave town and never contact their son again. When I refused, they made it clear I wasn't welcome. They said I was trying to trap him, to use a baby to get access to their wealth. It was ugly, Tyler. Really ugly. So I left. I came here with nothing and built my life from scratch. And I swore I'd never let anyone make me feel small like that again. I would never do that to you. I know. But I'm scared. What if your friends think I'm not good enough? What if you start to think that? That's not going to happen. Derek and Connor love you. Julie adores you. And I paused, making sure she was looking at me. I'm falling in love with you, Elise. The real you. Not some version I wish you were. Just you. She stared at me, tears streaming down her face now. I'm falling in love with you too. That's what scares me. Don't be scared. I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere. She leaned into me, and I wrapped my arms around her. We sat like that for a long time, her head on my chest, my chin resting on her hair. Slowly, I felt the tension leave her body. I'm sorry, she whispered. I know I'm a lot to handle. You're not. You're brave and strong and honest. That's all I want. She pulled back and kissed me, and this time there was no hesitation. Just trust. When she pulled away, she was smiling through her tears. I need to take things slow, she said. Can you give me that? Take all the time you need. I'll be here. Promise? Promise. She curled up against me, and we stayed on that couch until we both fell asleep, her hand in mine, her breathing steady and calm. Underscore 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 underscore. The weeks after the gala marked a shift in our relationship. Elise seemed lighter, more open. It was as if admitting her fears had lifted some weight she'd been carrying. We still took things slow, but there was a new ease between us. I started spending more time with both Elise and Olivia. Not just on weekends, but during the week too. I'd stop by after work sometimes, bringing dinner or just keeping them company while Elise worked on design projects. Olivia had decided I was her favorite person, which was both flattering and terrifying. Mr. Tyler, can you help me with my homework? She asked one evening. She was sitting at the kitchen table, a math worksheet in front of her. What kind of math? I asked, sitting beside her. Addition. But it's hard. I looked at the worksheet. Basic single-digit addition. Let's use your fingers. If you have 3 fingers on one hand and 2 on the other, how many total? She counted carefully, holding up her hands. 5. Exactly. So 3 plus 2 equals 5. Her face lit up. That's easy. See? You're smart. You just needed a different way to think about it. Elise watched from the kitchen, smiling as she chopped vegetables for dinner. When Olivia finished her homework and ran off to play, Elise came over and kissed the top of my head. Thank you, she said. For what? That was nothing. It's not nothing to her. Or to me. She's never had someone help her like that before. Her teacher, sure. Me. But not a man who cares about her. I do care about her. A lot. I know. She knows it too. She told me last night that she wishes you could live here. My heart swelled. Yeah. What did you tell her? That grown-ups need time to figure things out, but that you care about us very much. That's true. I do. Underscore 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 underscore. We went to the Children's Museum the following Saturday. Olivia was in heaven, running from exhibit to exhibit, climbing through tunnels, and building towers in the construction zone. Elise and I followed at a slower pace, holding hands. I used to bring her here when we first moved to town, Elise said. It was free on Sunday mornings, and I couldn't afford much back then. We'd spend hours here. She'd pretend to be a paleontologist digging up dinosaur bones, and I'd pretend my business wasn't failing. Was it really that bad? The first year? Yes. I had no clients, no network. I worked retail at night to make rent. But I kept at it. Slowly, I built up a portfolio. Got a few small clients. Then a few more. It took 3 years before I could quit the retail job and focus on design full-time. That's incredible. You should be proud. I am. But I also remember how hard it was. How many nights I cried because I didn't know if I'd made a huge mistake leaving everything behind. If it had just been me, maybe I would have gone back. But I had Olivia. I couldn't let her down. You didn't. You gave her a good life. I gave her a stable life. But I don't know if I gave her a happy one. She doesn't have grandparents who visit. No dad at school events. Just me. And I know that's not enough. I stopped walking, turning to face her. Elise, you are enough. More than enough. Olivia is happy. Can't you see that? She's confident and curious and full of joy. That's because of you. She's also attached to you. And I'm scared of what happens if this doesn't work out. It's going to work out. You don't know that. I do. Because I'm not going anywhere. I keep telling you that, and I'll keep telling you until you believe me. She looked up at me, searching my face. Why? Why are you so sure about us? Because for the first time in my life, I found someone who makes everything else make sense. I've built companies, made money, achieved every goal I set for myself. And none of it mattered until I met you. You and Olivia, you're what I've been missing. Her eyes filled with tears, but she was smiling. You're going to make me cry in a children's museum. Sorry. Don't be. These are good tears. Olivia came running over, grabbing both our hands. Come on. I want to show you the space exhibit. We let her pull us along, and I caught Elisa's eye over Olivia's head. She mouthed, I love you. I mouthed back, I love you too. Underscore 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 underscore. That night, after I'd gone home, Derek called me. How's it going with Elise? Good. Really good. I'm thinking about asking her to move in with me. There was a pause. That's fast. Is it? We've been dating for 2 months. I'm almost 40, Derek. I'm not interested in playing games or taking forever to figure out what I want. I want her. I want Olivia. I want a family. I'm not saying slow down. I'm saying make sure she's ready. She's been through a lot. I know. I'll wait until she's ready. But I'm telling you, this is it for me. She's it. Then I'm happy for you, man. You deserve this. Thanks. How's the company doing? Don't change the subject. But it's doing fine. Connor says hi, by the way. He and Julie want to have dinner with you and Elise next week. I'll ask her. The dinner happened the following Friday at a nice Italian restaurant. Connor and Julie were their usual selves, warm and welcoming. They asked Elise about her business and treated her like she'd always been part of the group. I watched her relax over the course of the meal, laughing at Connor's terrible jokes and swapping parenting stories with Julie. You two are good together, Julie said at one point, when the guys had gotten up to settle the bill despite Elisa's protests. Thank you, Elise said. I know they're your friends, and you set this up, so that probably feels like a win. It is a win. But more than that, I'm just glad Tyler found someone who sees him for who he really is. He's a good guy, but he gets lost in his work sometimes. You bring him back. He brings me back too. From my own head, mostly. I overthink everything. So does he. You're perfect for each other. When we left the restaurant, Elise was quiet in the car. I reached over and took her hand. What are you thinking about? How lucky I am. How this all could have been different if I hadn't taken that blind date. I was thinking the same thing. Tyler, I want you to know something. I'm not scared anymore. I was at first, but I'm not now. You've shown me I can trust you. I'm glad. I mean it. Whatever comes next, I'm ready. I had no idea how soon I'd have to prove those words meant something. Underscore 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 underscore. Everything changed on a Tuesday afternoon. I was at my office, reviewing quarterly reports with my team, when my phone buzzed with a text from Elise. Can you come over tonight? After Olivia's asleep. I need to talk to you. My stomach dropped. Those words never meant anything good. I texted back. Of course. Is everything okay? I'll explain later. The rest of the day dragged. I tried to focus on work, but my mind kept spinning through possibilities. Was she ending things? Had I done something wrong? Was Olivia sick? When I finally got to her apartment that evening, she was waiting on the couch, still in the clothes she'd worn to work. Her eyes were red, and I could tell she'd been crying. What happened? I asked, sitting beside her. She handed me a letter. It was on expensive paper, the kind that came from a law office. I scanned it quickly, my heart sinking with each line. Dear Ms. Walker, I am writing on behalf of my client, Preston Walsh, regarding the matter of his daughter, Olivia Marie Walker. Preston Walsh. Olivia's father. I looked up at Elise. He wants visitation. He wants to meet her. After 6 years of nothing, he suddenly wants to be a father. Her voice was thick with anger and pain. When did you get this? Yesterday. It came to my studio. I don't know how he found me. I've been so careful. I use my business name online, not my full name. I don't have social media. I've done everything I can to stay hidden. What does he say in the letter? Just that he's changed. That he's thought about Olivia over the years and wants a chance to know her. That his family is willing to put the past behind them. It's all words, Tyler. Pretty words that mean nothing. I read the letter again more carefully. It was cordial, almost apologetic. But there was something underneath it, a hint of entitlement that made my skin crawl. Have you responded? No. I don't know what to say. Part of me wants to ignore it and hope he goes away. But another part is terrified he'll escalate. That he'll show up here, or at Olivia's school. His family has money and connections. What if they try to take her from me? They can't do that. You have full custody, right? I have custody because he never contested it. He signed away his rights when I left. But I don't know if that's legally binding. I never went through the courts. It was just an agreement between us. Then we need to make it legal. We need a lawyer. She shook her head. I can't afford that kind of lawyer. Do you know what family court costs? I'd have to drain my savings. Maybe sell my business. Then I'll pay for it. Tyler, no. I can't ask you to do that. You're not asking. I'm offering. Actually, I'm insisting. I don't want your charity. It's not charity. It's what people who love each other do. They help. They support. They fight together. You don't have to do this alone, Elise. You're not alone anymore. She broke down then, sobbing into her hands. I pulled her close, letting her cry. When she finally calmed down, she looked up at me with swollen eyes. What if he tries to take her? What if his family has more power than I do? I can't lose her, Tyler. She's everything. You're not going to lose her. We're going to fight this the right way, with the best lawyers we can find. And we're going to win because you're her mother. You're the one who's been there every day. That counts for something. That counts for everything. Why are you doing this? Why are you fighting my battles? Because there are battles now. Because I love you. Because Olivia deserves to grow up safe and happy with her mom. Because this is what family does. She kissed me then, desperate and grateful. I love you so much. I love you too. And we're going to get through this. Underscore 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 underscore. The next morning, I called my lawyer, Richard Hart. He was the best in the city, specializing in corporate law but with connections everywhere. Tyler, good to hear from you. What can I do for you? I need a family lawyer. The best you know. Money's not an issue. This is about Elise. How did you know? Derek filled me in when he called yesterday. He said you might reach out. I already have someone in mind. Helena Cross. She's aggressive, smart, and has a near-perfect track record in custody cases. Set up a meeting. Today if possible. I'll make it happen. By that afternoon, Elise and I were sitting in Helena Cross's office. She was in her 50s, with sharp eyes and an air of absolute competence. She listened to Elise's story without interrupting, taking notes on a legal pad. First question, Helena said when Elise finished. Do you have any documentation of Preston's abandonment? Texts, emails, anything showing he knew about Olivia and chose not to be involved? I have some texts from right after I told him I was pregnant. He said he couldn't be a father, that his family wouldn't accept it. Then nothing for 6 years until this letter. Good. I'll need copies of all of that. Second question. Has he ever paid child support? No. Never. Even better. Third question. Do you have evidence of your sole care of Olivia? School records, medical records, anything showing you've been the only parent? I have everything. Report cards, doctor's visits, school permission slips. It's all just me on the forms. Helena smiled. Then we have a strong case. He abandoned his parental responsibilities. He made no attempt to support or contact his child for 6 years. Now he shows up demanding access. No judge is going to look favorably on that. We'll file a motion to formalize your sole custody and deny his petition for visitation. It'll cost about $15,000 to see it through, assuming he doesn't drag it out. Elise paled at the number, but I squeezed her hand. We'll handle it. Helena looked at me. And you are? Her partner. I'm paying for this. Does Preston know about you? Not yet. He will soon. That might actually help. It shows Olivia has a stable home environment with a father figure. Judges like stability. We'll use that. We spent another hour going over details, signing retainer agreements, and making plans. When we left, Elise looked exhausted but relieved. Thank you, she said in the car. I don't know how to repay you. You don't have to. Just let me be here for you. That's all I want. She leaned over and kissed my cheek. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me. Same here. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about Preston Walsh and his entitled family. They'd made Elise feel small and worthless. They'd driven her away from her home. And now they wanted back in, on their terms, with no regard for what they'd put her through. I wasn't going to let that happen. Elise and Olivia were mine now. My family. And I'd do whatever it took to protect them. Underscore 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 underscore. Over the next week, Elise told me the full story of Preston and his family. We were in her apartment late one night, speaking in low voices so we wouldn't wake Olivia. She'd avoided the details before, giving me only the basic outline, but now she let it all spill out. I met Preston when I was 24, she began. I was working at a gallery downtown, doing setup for an art show. He came in with some friends. He was handsome, charming, and he seemed interested in me. We started dating, and for a while, it was good. He took me to nice restaurants, weekend trips. I thought I'd found someone special. When did you meet his family? About 6 months in. His parents invited us to dinner at their estate. And I mean estate. It was this huge mansion outside the city, with gates and a circular driveway and staff. I'd never seen anything like it. His mother, Patricia, was polite but cold. His father, Lawrence, barely looked at me. They asked about my background, my family, my education. Every answer I gave seemed to disappoint them. What did Preston do? He tried to smooth things over, but I could tell he was uncomfortable. After dinner, his mother pulled him aside. I couldn't hear what they said, but I saw the look on his face. He was upset. On the drive home, he told me his parents thought I was nice but not what they'd envisioned for him. He said they'd come around eventually. But they didn't. No. They got worse. Every time we saw them, there were little comments. About my clothes. My job. My neighborhood. Patricia once asked if I'd ever been to Europe. When I said no, she said, "How unfortunate." Like I was less than because I couldn't afford international travel. I felt my jaw tighten. That's awful. It was. But I loved Preston, so I put up with it. I thought if I just proved myself, they'd accept me. Then I got pregnant. She paused, her hands twisting in her lap. I waited, giving her time. We weren't planning it. We were careful, but things happen. I was scared to tell Preston, but I thought he'd be happy. We'd talked about the future, about getting married someday. Instead, he panicked. He said it was too soon, that his parents would be furious. He asked if I was sure I wanted to keep it. He wanted you to have an abortion. He didn't say it outright, but yes. When I told him I was keeping the baby, he went silent. Then he told his parents. The next day, Lawrence Walsh showed up at my apartment. No Preston, just his father. He offered me $200,000 to leave town and sign away any claim to Preston or his family. He said if I refused, they'd make my life difficult. That they had lawyers who could prove I wasn't fit to be a mother, that I'd trapped Preston intentionally. He made it clear I had no power and no options. What did you say? I told him to get out of my apartment. Then I called Preston and asked him to choose. Me and the baby, or his family. He chose them. He said he wasn't ready to be a father, that I was asking too much of him. So I left. I packed everything I owned, moved here, and never looked back. Her voice broke on the last words. I pulled her into my arms, feeling the way she trembled. "I'm so sorry," I whispered. "You deserved so much better." I know. But at the time, I just felt ashamed. Like maybe they were right. Maybe I wasn't good enough for their world. They were wrong. About everything. You're incredible, Elise. Olivia is incredible. Preston and his family don't deserve either of you. I've tried to tell myself that. But when that letter came, all those old feelings came back. The fear. The shame. The sense that I'm not strong enough to fight them. You are strong enough. And you're not fighting alone this time. I'm here. Helena's here. We're going to end this. She pulled back to look at me. Why does he want to see her now? After 6 years of nothing? I don't know. Maybe he regrets his choice. Maybe his parents pushed him into it. Maybe there's something else going on. But it doesn't matter. What matters is Olivia's well-being, and you're the one who's been protecting that all along. What if he's changed? What if he actually wants to be a good father now? Then he can prove it through proper legal channels over time. But he doesn't get to just waltz back in and demand access. That's not how it works. She nodded, wiping her eyes. Helena said the same thing. She said we have a strong case. We do. Trust that. Trust us. I do trust you. That's the scary part. I've learned not to trust people, but with you, it's different. You've shown me I can rely on someone. You can. Always. Underscore 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 underscore. A few days later, Helena called with an update. Preston's lawyer had responded to our filing. He was asking for supervised visitation, starting with 1 hour a week. He's softening his position, Helena explained over the phone. That's good. It means he knows his case is weak. What do we do? I asked. I was at Elisa's apartment, and she was listening on speakerphone. We hold firm. We offer him nothing. If he wants visitation, he can go before a judge and explain why he abandoned his daughter for 6 years. Most judges won't grant visitation in these circumstances, and even if they do, it'll be limited and supervised. He has no leverage here. What if he tries to see Olivia anyway? What if he shows up at her school? If he does, you call the police and you call me immediately. He has no legal right to approach her. Any contact would be considered harassment. After the call ended, Elise looked at me with worry in her eyes. I don't like this. It feels like it's escalating. Helena said we have the upper hand. I know. But I also know Preston. When he wants something, he doesn't give up easily. And his family has the resources to drag this out for years. Then we drag it out. We have resources too. And we have something they don't. What? The truth. You're Olivia's mother. You've been there every single day of her life. That matters more than money or lawyers or family connections. She wanted to believe me. I could see it in her face. But I could also see the doubt lingering underneath. 6 years of raising a child alone, of looking over her shoulder, of carrying the weight of Preston's rejection had left scars that wouldn't heal overnight. I'm scared, Tyler. Not just for me, but for Olivia. What if this hurts her? What if she finds out her father didn't want her? She'll never hear that from us. And if Preston tries to come back into her life, he'll have to earn that privilege. He'll have to prove he's changed. And until then, she has us. She has a family who loves her unconditionally. That's what she'll remember. Elise leaned into me, and I held her close. Outside, the sun was setting, casting long shadows across the apartment. For the first time since this all started, I felt a flicker of anger. Not just at Preston, but at the system that allowed men to walk away from their children with no consequences, only to show up years later demanding access. But I pushed the anger down. Elise needed my strength, not my rage. So I held her and promised myself that whatever came next, I'd be ready. Underscore 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 underscore. The legal battle moved slowly, which Helena said was normal. Documents were filed. Responses were drafted. Deadlines came and went. Through it all, Elise tried to maintain normalcy for Olivia. She didn't tell her about Preston. She didn't explain the lawyers or the court dates. As far as Olivia knew, everything was fine. But I could see the toll it was taking on Elise. She was tired all the time, dark circles under her eyes. Her design work suffered. She missed deadlines, something she'd never done before. I tried to help however I could, bringing dinner, watching Olivia so Elise could rest, handling the communication with Helena. One evening, I found Elise staring at a stack of bills on her kitchen counter. Legal fees, rent, utilities, Olivia's school expenses. Her face was pale. I can't keep doing this, she said when she noticed me. The legal fees are eating through my savings. I had to turn down 2 new clients because I don't have time to do the work. My business is falling apart. Then let me help more. Let me cover your rent for a few months. Give yourself breathing room. I can't ask you to do that. You're not asking. I'm offering. Actually, I'm insisting. This is temporary, Elise. Once the case is settled, you can rebuild your business. But right now, you need to focus on this fight. Let me take care of the rest. She looked at the bills, then back at me. It doesn't feel right. Taking your money. It's not taking. It's accepting help from someone who loves you. There's a difference. How much have you spent on this already? Between Helena's fees and everything else? It doesn't matter. It does to me. I pulled her away from the counter, making her look at me. Elise, I have more money than I know what to do with. That's not a brag, it's just the truth. My company is successful. I have investments. I live well below my means because I don't care about fancy cars or big houses. But you know what I do care about? You and Olivia. If I can use my resources to protect you, to give you peace of mind, then that money finally means something. So please, stop fighting me on this and just let me help. Her eyes filled with tears. You're too good to me. I'm exactly as good as you deserve. She hugged me tightly, and I felt her resistance finally break. Okay. Okay. I'll let you help. But I'm paying you back. Someday, when this is all over and my business is stable, I'm paying back every cent. If that makes you feel better, fine. But you don't owe me anything. That night, after Olivia went to bed, Elise and I sat on her balcony like we had so many times before. But this time felt different. She seemed lighter, like admitting she needed help had lifted a burden. Can I ask you something? She said. Anything. Why aren't you married? You're smart, successful, kind. You could have anyone. Why were you alone when Derek and Connor set us up? I thought about how to answer. I was focused on the wrong things for a long time. Building Cloud Sync consumed me. Every spare moment went into the company. I dated, but it never went anywhere because I never made time for it to go anywhere. Then the company succeeded, and suddenly everyone wanted something from me. Investors. Board members. People who saw dollar signs when they looked at me. It got hard to trust anyone's intentions. That sounds lonely. It was. But I didn't realize how lonely until I met you. You didn't know who I was. You didn't care about my money or my company. You just saw me. That's incredibly rare. I didn't know who you were because I'm oblivious, not because I'm noble. If I'd Googled you before that first date, I probably would have run away. Why? Because I would have thought you were out of my league. That this was some kind of mistake. It's not a mistake. It's the most right thing that's ever happened to me. She smiled, that soft smile I loved. Me too. Underscore 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 underscore. A week later, Helena called with news. Preston had filed a motion to expedite the case, claiming that every day he was denied access to his daughter caused him emotional harm. He's getting desperate, Helena said. That's a sign we're winning. What happens next? I asked. We were in Helena's office again, Elise beside me. We go before a judge. Both sides present their arguments. Preston will have to explain his 6-year absence. You'll have to show that denying visitation is in Olivia's best interest. The judge will make a ruling. When? 3 weeks. Elise went pale. That soon? It's actually fast for family court. Preston's motion pushed it through. What are our chances? I asked. Helena looked at us both. If I'm being honest, 90% in your favor. Preston's case is weak. He has no relationship with Olivia. He abandoned his responsibilities. He made no effort to be involved until now. Unless he has some compelling reason for his absence, the judge will rule in Elisa's favor. And if he does have a compelling reason, then we adapt. But I don't think he does. I think he's either having a midlife crisis or his family is pressuring him. Either way, it doesn't change the facts. After the meeting, Elise and I went to a quiet diner for lunch. She barely touched her food, pushing it around her plate. "What are you thinking?" I asked. "I'm thinking about what happens if we lose. What if the judge grants him visitation? What if Olivia has to see him? Then we'll prepare her. We'll be honest with her in an age-appropriate way. And we'll make sure she knows she's loved and safe. What if she likes him? What if she wants to be with him more than me? That's not going to happen. You're her mom. You've been there for every skinned knee, every bad dream, every good day and bad day. That bond doesn't break because some stranger shows up. You don't know that. I do. And you need to trust it. Trust yourself. You're an amazing mother, Elise. Olivia knows that. Nothing Preston does can change that." She looked at me with such vulnerability that it hurt. "What did I do to deserve you? You showed up to a blind date you didn't want to go on. You took a chance on a guy whose friends are idiots. You let me into your life even though you were scared. That's what you did." She reached across the table and took my hand. "I love you, Tyler Bennett. I love you too, Elise Walker. And we're going to get through this. Together." She nodded, and I saw her straighten her shoulders, gathering her strength. Whatever came next, we'd face it as a team. Underscore 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 underscore. 2 weeks before the court date, Preston showed up at Elisa's design studio. She called me immediately, her voice shaking. "He's here. Preston is here. I don't know what to do." "Don't engage with him. Tell him he needs to go through his lawyer." "I'm on my way." I was across town, but I drove like my life depended on it. When I got to her studio, a small space in a renovated warehouse building, I found Elise standing in the doorway and a man in an expensive suit leaning against a car in the parking lot. Preston Walsh was tall and polished, with perfect hair and the kind of confidence that came from never being told no. He looked at me as I approached, sizing me up. "Can I help you?" he asked, like I was the intruder. "I'm Tyler. Elisa's partner. And you need to leave. I'm here to talk to Elise. This doesn't concern you. Everything that concerns her concerns me. And you showing up unannounced is harassment. Leave, or I'm calling the police." He smirked. "Relax. I'm not here to cause trouble. I just want to talk." Elise stepped forward, her voice steady despite the fear I could see in her eyes. "We have nothing to talk about, Preston. You made your choice 6 years ago. You can't just show up now and expect me to engage with you. I know I made mistakes. I'm trying to fix them. I want to meet Olivia. I want to be her father. You gave up that right when you walked away. If you want to meet her, go through the court like everyone else." "The court?" "Right. With your high-priced lawyer funded by your new boyfriend. You think that's fair? You think that's what's best for Olivia?" I stepped between them, keeping my voice calm. "What's best for Olivia is having a mother who's been there for her every single day of her life. Not someone who shows up 6 years later demanding access. You don't get to play the victim here." Preston's expression hardened. "You don't know anything about me. You don't know what I've been through." "You're right, I don't. And I don't care. What I care about is Elise and Olivia. And you're upsetting them. So leave. Now." He looked past me to Elise. "Is this what you want? To keep my daughter from me?" To poison her against her own father. Elisa's voice was ice. You're not her father. A father shows up. A father cares. A father doesn't walk away when things get hard. You're just a man with regrets, and that's not my problem. Now leave before I call the police. For a moment, I thought Preston might argue. But then he shook his head, a bitter smile on his face. Fine. Have it your way. But you'll regret this. My family has resources. We'll make sure Olivia knows who her real family is. He got in his car and drove off. Elise watched him go, her whole body rigid. When he was out of sight, she finally let out a breath and started to shake. You okay? I asked, putting my arm around her. No. But I will be. Thank you for coming. Always. We went inside her studio, and I made her sit down while I got her some water. Her hands were still trembling. He's not going to stop, is he? She said. Probably not. But he just made a huge mistake. He approached you directly when he knows he's not supposed to. Helena can use that in court. He said his family has resources. What if they come after me? What if they try to prove I'm an unfit mother? They can't prove something that isn't true. You're an incredible mother. Any investigation would show that. But what if they lie? What if they make things up? Then we fight back. Elise, you have to trust the system. I know it's scary, but Helena knows what she's doing. We have evidence, documentation, everything we need to win this. She nodded, but I could see the fear hadn't left her eyes. I'm sorry you got dragged into this. I'm not. This is exactly where I want to be. Fighting for you and Olivia. That's what matters to me. I don't deserve you. Yes, you do. And you deserve to win this case. So let's focus on that. Underscore 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 underscore. That evening, I called Helena and told her about Preston's visit. She was furious. He approached her directly. After we filed a motion specifically stating he's not to contact her outside of legal proceedings. That's contempt. I'm filing a report with the court immediately. Will that help our case? Absolutely. It shows a pattern of disregard for boundaries. It shows he's not acting in Olivia's best interest, just his own. This was a gift, Tyler. He just handed us ammunition. Good. Use it. After the call, I went back to Elisa's apartment. She'd picked up Olivia from school and was making dinner, trying to act normal. Olivia chattered about her day, oblivious to the storm brewing around her. The night before the court date, I stayed over at her apartment. We didn't sleep. We just lay in bed, talking about everything and nothing. What if I fall apart tomorrow? She asked. What if I get up there and can't talk? Then I'll be right there in the courtroom. You'll look at me, and you'll remember why you're doing this. For Olivia. That's all that matters. What if Preston's lawyer makes me look bad? What if they twist my words? Helena will object. She won't let them steamroll you. And you'll tell the truth. That's all you have to do. The truth is on your side. The truth doesn't always win. It does more often than not. And this time, it will. I believe that. She turned to face me in the darkness. I'm so glad you're in my life, Tyler. I don't know how I'd get through this without you. You'd find a way. You're stronger than you think. But I'm glad I can be here. I want to be here. For all of it. The good, the bad, the scary. All of it. Even if we lose tomorrow. Even then. Losing a court case doesn't change how I feel about you. It doesn't change our life together. It just means we have to figure out a new plan. But we'll do it together. She kissed me, and for a few moments, the fear receded. There was just us, in the dark, holding on to each other. Underscore 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 underscore. The courthouse was imposing, all marble and wood paneling. Helena met us in the lobby, dressed in a sharp suit, her briefcase in hand. "You ready?" she asked Elise. "No. But let's do this anyway." We went through security and made our way to the family court wing. Preston was already there with his lawyer, a slick-looking man in an expensive suit. Preston looked nervous, which gave me a small amount of satisfaction. The hearing was in a small courtroom, just the judge, the lawyers, and the involved parties. No jury. No spectators. The judge was a woman in her 60s named Judge Morrison. She had a reputation for being fair but tough. Helena presented our case first. She walked through Elisa's history with Preston, his abandonment, his lack of support. She entered into evidence the texts Preston had sent 6 years ago, the ones where he said he couldn't be a father. She showed Olivia's school records, medical records, everything demonstrating Elisa's sole care. Then it was Preston's lawyer's turn. He painted Preston as a young man who'd made a mistake, who'd been pressured by his family, who now wanted to make amends. He argued that children deserved to know both parents, that denying Preston access was denying Olivia a relationship she had a right to. It was compelling, I had to admit. But Helena was ready. On cross-examination, she tore into Preston. "Mr. Walsh, you claim you want to be a father to Olivia now. When was the last time you saw her?" "I've never met her." "Never. Not once in 6 years. Did you ever attempt to contact Ms. Walker to arrange a meeting?" "No." "Did you ever send birthday cards? Gifts? Any acknowledgement of your daughter's existence?" "No." "Did you pay child support?" "No." So for 6 years, you did absolutely nothing to be part of your daughter's life. And now you want the court to grant you visitation. Why now? "Because I've realized what I've been missing. I want to be part of her life." Or is it because your family wants you to be part of her life? Isn't it true that your parents recently expressed interest in meeting their granddaughter? Preston hesitated. "They mentioned it, yes. So this isn't about Olivia at all. It's about what your family wants. About claiming a grandchild for your family's legacy. Isn't that the real reason you're here?" "Objection," Preston's lawyer said. "Speculation." "Sustained," Judge Morrison said. But I could see the doubt in her eyes. Helena had planted the seed. When it was Elisa's turn to testify, she was incredible. She spoke calmly and clearly, explaining her history with Preston, her decision to leave, her years of raising Olivia alone. When Preston's lawyer tried to imply she'd kept Olivia from him intentionally, she shut it down. "I didn't keep Olivia from him. He walked away. There's a difference. I never changed my number. I never hid. He just never tried." At the end of the hearing, Judge Morrison took a recess to consider her ruling. We waited in the hallway, the silence heavy. Elise gripped my hand so tightly it hurt, but I didn't complain. After 30 minutes, we were called back in. Judge Morrison looked at both sides, her expression unreadable. "I've reviewed the evidence and heard the testimony. This is a difficult case because it involves a child who deserves a stable, loving home. However, the facts are clear. Mr. Walsh abandoned his parental responsibilities for 6 years. He made no attempt to contact, support, or be involved in his daughter's life. His sudden interest now, while perhaps sincere, does not override the years of absence. Ms. Walker has been the sole caregiver, providing a stable home and meeting all of Olivia's needs. I see no reason to disrupt that." Elisa's grip on my hand tightened. "Therefore, I am denying Mr. Walsh's petition for visitation. Ms. Walker retains sole legal and physical custody. If Mr. Walsh wishes to pursue a relationship with his daughter in the future, he will need to demonstrate a sustained commitment over time, not just a sudden interest. This case is closed. The gavel came down, and it was over. We'd won. Underscore 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 underscore. In the hallway outside the courtroom, Elise broke down. Not from sadness, but from relief. 6 years of fear, of looking over her shoulder, of wondering when Preston would reappear. It was finally over. Helena shook our hands, looking satisfied. That was a solid win. Preston's lawyer looked like he wanted to sink into the floor. I doubt they'll appeal. There's no grounds. Thank you, Elise said, her voice thick with emotion. Thank you so much. You're welcome. You deserve this outcome. You're a good mother, and the judge saw that. As we left the courthouse, Preston and his lawyer were already gone. I was glad. I didn't want any more confrontations. I just wanted to take Elise home and start moving forward. But before we could leave, Preston's lawyer approached us in the parking lot. Ms. Walker, Mr. Bennett. A moment, please. We stopped, wary. What do you want? I asked. My client has asked me to extend an offer. He's willing to relinquish all parental rights permanently and sign away any future claims to Olivia. In exchange, he asks that you not pursue him for back child support. Elise stared at him. He wants to sign away his rights. Yes. Completely and permanently. He realizes his attempt to reconnect was misguided. His family agrees. This way, everyone can move forward. I looked at Elise. It's your call. She thought for a moment, then nodded. Yes. I accept. But I want it in writing. I want it legally binding. Of course. I'll have the documents drafted and sent to Ms. Cross within the week. He left, and Elise turned to me, her eyes bright. It's really over. He's gone. For good. It's over, I confirmed. You're free. She threw her arms around me, and we stood there in the parking lot, holding each other. After everything, we'd won. Not just the case, but our future. Underscore 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 underscore. Over the next few weeks, life returned to normal. The documents came through, Preston signed away his rights, and the case was officially closed. Elisa's business picked up again. She started taking on new clients, rebuilding her portfolio. The stress lines around her eyes faded. She laughed more. She slept better. One evening, about 3 months after the court case, I took Elise and Olivia to our favorite lakeside restaurant. It was the same place Derek and Connor had taken me to celebrate CloudSync's first big contract. It felt fitting to be back there now, celebrating something even more important. After dinner, while Olivia was distracted by the dessert menu, I reached across the table and took Elisa's hand. I have something to ask you. She looked up, curious. What? I've been thinking a lot about the future. About what I want. And what I want is this. You, me, Olivia. A family. I know we've only been together for 6 months, but it feels like longer. It feels right. And I don't want to waste any more time. I pulled out a small box from my pocket. Elisa's eyes went wide. Tyler. Elise Walker, will you marry me? She stared at the ring, then at me, then back at the ring. Tears started streaming down her face, but she was smiling. Yes. Yes, of course yes. I slipped the ring onto her finger, and Olivia looked up from her menu, confused. What's happening? Mr. Tyler just asked me to marry him, Elise said, laughing and crying at the same time. Olivia's face lit up. Does that mean he's going to be my dad? If you want him to be. I do. I want that so much. She launched herself at me, hugging me tight. I hugged her back, overwhelmed by how much love I felt for this little girl who wasn't even mine by blood but felt like mine in every way that mattered. So it's settled, I said. We're a family. We're a family, Elise agreed. Underscore 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 underscore. 6 months later, we got married. It was a small ceremony by the lake, the same lake where I'd first met Elise at that coffee shop. Derek and Connor were my groomsmen, still taking credit for the whole thing. Julie was Elise's maid of honor, crying happy tears through the entire ceremony. Olivia was the flower girl, taking her job very seriously, scattering petals with great concentration. The ceremony was simple. No fancy venue, no elaborate decorations. Just us, our closest friends, and the promise to build a life together. When the officiant asked if I took Elise to be my wife, I didn't hesitate. I do. When he asked Elise the same question, she looked at me with so much love it hurt. I do. And when he pronounced us husband and wife, we kissed while Olivia cheered and our friends applauded. Afterwards, at the small reception, Derek pulled me aside. I told you that blind date would change your life. You were right. For once. For once. I'm always right. Let's not go that far. He laughed and clapped me on the shoulder. Seriously though, man. I'm happy for you. You found your person. That's rare. I know. Thank you for pushing me into it. That's what friends are for. Later, Elise and I snuck away from the reception to stand by the lake. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Can you believe this is real? She asked, leaning into me. Sometimes, no. It still feels like a dream. A good dream. The best dream. She turned to face me, her hands on my chest. I love you, Tyler Bennett. I love you too, Elise Bennett. We kissed as the sun set behind us, the beginning of our new life together stretching out before us like the lake, vast and full of possibility. And somewhere in the crowd behind us, Olivia was telling anyone who would listen that she had the best dad in the world. She was right. Not because I was perfect, but because I'd chosen to be there. To show up every day. To love her and her mother with everything I had. That's what family meant. Not blood or obligation, but choice. The choice to stay, to fight, to build something beautiful together. And I'd make that choice every single day for the rest of my life. Underscore 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 underscore